Hello, YouTube. Hope y'all are having a good day. We got a special guest coming up here in about a half hour on Live and Local Real Talk. Bob Williams, the guy in charge of the Onslow County Board of Education, the chairman of the board. He's going to join us in here. They had a board meeting last night, and some shakeups are happening in the board. So we'll be discussing with him what the future looks like. And we entertain your calls anytime you want to join us this morning, 910-333-0139. Madam Hillary has made it official whether she's going to run or not in the 2024 presidential bid. That would be her third failed attempt to become president. So we'll talk to you a little bit about that too. Stay tuned. Live and Local is coming up right after the Fox News break, which is next right here on Freedom 97.1 and 1120 AM WSME. And it starts right now. Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
And I'm Kelly Knapp.
And welcome to the Hump Day edition of Live and Local Real Talk here on Freedom 97.1 and 1120 AM WSME. We appreciate you guys joining us this morning. And as always, if you've got something you want to chat about, you want to react to whatever we're saying, react to things that we don't even know are happening out there, feel free to give us a call. Our number, if you're watching on YouTube, is right over yonder. 910-333-0139. That's for you folks who are not watching it live on YouTube. And by the way, a lot of you may not know we're on YouTube. We left Facebook. Well, actually, Facebook left us. How's that? Channel. And you can find it. Just go to youtube.com and then search for Live and Local. Add Real Talk to that, or you'll find about 1 million Live and Locals out there. Live and Local Real Talk. And if you want to watch it and see what kind of clothes are we matching today?
No, we're not.
Good.
We're not matching
Sometimes
today.
we just
majority of the time we do match, and it's because we think alike. We're great minds think alike.
So we're not thinking alike today, apparently, right?
Well, I got red on my pants, and you got a red shirt, but I don't know if that qualifies as
I don't
matching.
think that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, lots going on. We've got Bill Williams. Bill Williams? Did I say that?
Yeah.
Why did I say that?
Because we were naming all the Board of Education, so you probably had the bill in here. Yeah.
Bob Williams, chairman of the board for the Onslow County Board of Education, is coming in about 7:30 this morning. We'll have some discussions. And interesting things that are happening over there, of course. Last week we had that the results of a trial. I guess it's the best way to describe it. A motion trial. A motion hearing.
Yeah.
Where it was recommended to the school board that they remove one of their members, a very unusual character. And so they removed him. And so now they have 6 people on the board, but the word is there will be 5 shortly. And then in November, the 2 of the incumbents, two of the sitting members who are up for running again or not going to run again, including Mr. Williams and Jeff Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
That means, however it goes down, there will be only 3 of the current school board members will be remaining after the November election. Weird.
Wait a minute. Isn't Bill Lanier running this time? So I think there's 3 that have to be voted.
Yeah, they're running.
3 are running.
Yeah, then 2 more vacancies.
And 2, so there's 5. So there really, technically, only 2 remain. I mean, I'm confused.
At the very most, there will be
at
the very most there will be 3.
There will be 3 incumbents.
Of the current school board members.
Correct.
Will be on the board.
Yeah. So odds are one of those 3 would be the chair.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I don't think it should be a newcomer because they don't have experience. I think the chair should be someone that has been on there.
Now, the Onslow County GOP Executive Committee, this is not a vote at large of all Republicans. It's just the Executive Committee. How many members are there? 35-ish or something like that?
37, I think.
Whatever,
or something like 35, 37. I think there's 37.
And they will make a choice. They will make the decision about who will fill the 1 or 2 vacancies if the other one does actually happen. And I have not heard about the meeting last night because I went to sleep. So anyway, that's what we'll be discussing today and in the future as well. So as things progress.
The scrambling has already begun.
Oh yes, I know it has. We've got one person that's asking, and I know of 2 others that have been approached.
Yeah, I know of a couple.
And so we'll see.
Right, let the butt kissing begin, because that's what it equates to.
Yeah. Well, some of them are throwing their hats into the nomination ring. And there are a couple of them that I know are doing so because they were defeated during the primary. They're Republicans. They were defeated. They were on the ballot. They were on the ticket. It does show that even if they were defeated, that they have a desire to serve.
And let's be real, too. We had a very low voter turnout.
We did.
In the primary, which we always do. It was pathetic and pitiful.
It was. About the same number as the number of people on the executive committee.
I definitely hope that one of the people that ran in the primary and didn't win throws his name in here. So I'm not on the executive committee anymore, so I really have no dog in a fight, but I have a lot of friends that are. So
I know some.
I'll influence
There's
people.
At least one member of the executive committee has been making calls to some of the former candidates. So asking if they would like to be considered. So that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Out to Memphis.
Oh, man. What a hot mess that is.
Cleotha Abston Henderson, 38 years old, accused in the kidnapping and murder of Eliza Fletcher. They found her body Monday.
I know they did. No, they found it yesterday morning. Was it Monday or yesterday morning?
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday morning.
What day are we
Wednesday.
at? We're Wednesday. Okay.
She was a teacher and a mother of 2.
And an heiress to some
billionaire hardware billionaire guy.
Yeah.
This guy, Henderson, was only 16 when he began a 20-year prison sentence for kidnapping another victim at gunpoint.
A lawyer.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
Abston Henderson's criminal past began when he was even younger.
Yep.
With charges that included aggravated assault and rape.
Yep.
He was 14 at the time. He told investigators that he dropped out of school after the 9th grade. It was confirmed yesterday that he raped the girl when he was 14. He raped her when he was 14. He was arrested. He was sent to juvie. At age 16, he was out. That's when he kidnapped a Memphis lawyer at gunpoint, threw him in the trunk of the car, and drove him around to ATMs demanding he withdraw cash. Abston Henderson pleaded guilty in that case and served about 20 years of a 24-year sentence.
Well, here's the other thing.
What about that rape of a girl?
Apparently that was nothing. And he had an accomplice to that kidnapping, but the lawyer testified on behalf for leniency for the accomplice.
Really?
Because several times the lawyer could hear them. The accomplice was trying to get him to let that guy go. And he wouldn't do it. He starts fighting and arguing with the accomplice. And the lawyer testified at the accomplice's sentencing hearing for leniency. I read that yesterday.
No, I didn't see
He said
that.
the accomplice was pleading with him to let him go, and he would not. And the lawyer says, had I not gotten free, he would have killed me.
Yeah.
And he knew it.
Likely.
Yeah.
Well,
He said,
he's
based on everything he heard.
based upon the evidence that we're hearing, he's certainly capable of
Oh,
killing.
absolutely. Absolutely.
It's time for him to go.
Does Tennessee have the death penalty?
I don't know.
Well, nobody seems to use it anymore, so does it really matter if they do?
I was going to look that up and check it out.
Some people, cannot be rehabilitated. I think some people are just evil.
Yes.
And you cannot throw mental illness at everything. And I know it's going to be said. Not everything is about mental illness. He had a bad
childhood. He grew up with it. He dropped out of school.
Some people are just evil.
He did.
And I think this guy fits that I'm an evil category immensely. Yeah. Terrible. Oh, it's so awful.
I'm checking very quickly. Does Tennessee have the death penalty?
They have video of him abducting her.
I know.
And they've got video of in the car. They sat there like 4 minutes. Yeah. Personal opinion, I think he stabbed her then.
Probably. He had to clean up the car.
Yeah, he had to clean the car up. Yeah, that's how he got caught.
Okay, they do have it. They haven't used it in quite a while, of course. And the governor has halted all executions scheduled for 2022.
Okay, then never mind.
No, anyway.
No, never mind.
But they do have it on the books.
Well, it don't mean nothing. Yeah.
Oh, Hillary, what are you doing, girl? What are you doing? She's finally decided and firmly declared that she will not be running for president for the third time. She got defeated in 2008 and 2016. I'm telling you, in 2008, the defeat was pretty much after the primary, when Obama got it. Pretty much was, okay, now, Hillary, listen up. Don't you get any plans for 2012 to run against me, okay? Because if you do that, then I will make you the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
She said, okay.
Yeah.
So she waited until 2016, and that's when she ran. She failed to get his endorsement in 2016.
She did, yeah.
So that did not make her happy either. So she was defeated. It seems like I recall that she actually got more votes, popular votes, right? Votes at large.
Something like that, yeah.
But she lost the in that little college thing.
The electoral college votes. Yeah,
That's what counts.
Yeah.
But she has said now she's not going to do it. There's been growing political chatter over whether she would run, but she put it on CBS News this week. She said, no, not going to happen. Not going to do it. However, she's encouraging all Republicans to denounce the ex-president Trump, not vote for him, not support him. Don't let him get even the nomination. And if he does, please elect a Democrat. Who are the Democrats going to be? Don't even know who President Biden, if President Biden's going to run or not.
He says he is, but that
he says one thing today and something else in an hour.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's saying. I was kind of looking forward to a primary with Biden not running and Kamala and Hillary, a knockdown, drag out, hen fight. Can you imagine the hair pulling that would be going on in that one?
I just don't know what to say. Yeah.
That would be hilarious, I think. So too bad she's not going to run. All right, let's get down to the tropics before we take a break here. Hurricane Earl, a lot of wind kicking up the seas, but no appreciable effect on land masses. As he moves northward now over open waters, Earl is expected to continue to get stronger and will become a major hurricane by the end of the week. The good news is that no mainland U.S. locations should be impacted as long as he stays on the predicted course. Moving northward at 6 miles per hour, likely to shift towards the northeast on Friday.
I put it like that
Okay.
way. Okay.
The current National
Yeah.
Hurricane Center prediction is that Earl will pass slightly, just barely east of Bermuda.
Mm-hmm.
The good news about that is Bermuda will be on the
good side,
less
yeah.
worse side
Yeah.
of this hurricane.
Yeah.
Hurricane Danielle. What in the world?
What's it doing now?
And the cooling waters off the North Atlantic heading on a screwed up loop-de-loop course towards Ireland, Spain, or back to its African roots. We have no clue,
Mm-hmm.
but it is dying. It will be dying slowly. Danielle should be downgraded to a tropical storm in the next day or so. Moving south, as it will be
Wait,
doing,
south.
it
So
will
it
be
looped.
it's doing a
Okay.
complete loop
Yeah.
and going to be moving southeastward.
Oh my.
Now that if it gets into warmer waters, we
Mhm.
don't know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
We know how that works.
Mhm.
Might get off the coast of Africa, reinvigorate itself, and come back to us.
Mhm.
Wouldn't that be a pain in the butt? Off the coast of Africa,
Oh no, there's another one.
another disturbance
Coming
that
off.
has a 60% chance of formation within the 5 days.
Mhm.
Oh my, moving northwestward. Conditions are not conducive, though, for further strengthening after that. So
Mhm.
it could form up into a tropical depression or storm, but they don't think at this time that it will gain any more substance. But wait, there's more. Yet another area of disturbance is making its way to Africa's west coast. It should happen, probably move off the coast today or tomorrow. What kind of? We're playing a game of whack-a-mole here, aren't we?
I'm telling you.
These things pop up on the big charts there at the National Hurricane Center, and it's just like you want to punch them. Get that
I
old
think
whack-a-mole
Mother
club
Nature is
going.
just trying to get caught up.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I've been silent too long. Y'all have missed me. So here we go. Yeah.
All right, let's take a break, do some weather,
Mhm.
and take your calls. We'd love to hear from you. 910-333-0139. Do you have an interest in serving the Onslow County citizens and the students of Onslow County as a member of the Board of Education? Talk to me. Tell me what you would like to see the GOP do. If they have one, they may have two positions to fill.
Mhm.
What would you do? Who would you like to see?
Yeah.
What kind of qualities would you like to see? It's time. I mean, people all over this country are rallying and they're really ticked off with school boards across this
They
country.
are. So this is your chance to
What's
make
the
a
number
change.
1, 2, and 3 items that you're looking for that should be considered before anybody is named? Love to hear from you. 910-333-0139. You're live in local Real Talk, Freedom 97.1, 1120 AM, WSME. If you're in the mood for deals, who isn't in the mood for deals? Maritime deals or fishing deals? Stop in at Tideline Marine during September for all kinds of specials. Sign up at the desk. Now, walk in. We may forget to ask you to sign up, but go ahead and sign up. There's a list there for regular email only specials the fine folks at Tideline are offering. Don't forget, one day it's going to be okay to hunt for flounders. That includes a favorite of a lot of folks around these parts, gigging. Tideline has a special running, a 10-foot all-metal gig for $99.99. That's $20 savings. Sold one yesterday to a guy who knows a good deal. He just could not walk out there without it. Last count, there were 4 left at this price. I'm working again today, and don't tell the boss, but I can be convinced to knock off a couple extra bucks. For all of your fishing and boating needs, check out Tideline Marine and Family, 159 Old Bridge Street on the banks of the New River in downtown Jacksonville. Northwesterly winds today, 10 to 15 knots, becoming easterly 5 to 10 this afternoon. Seas 2 to 4, dominant period 8 seconds. Sounds in rivers a moderate chop, diminishing to a light chop in the afternoon. Tomorrow, northerly winds 10 to 15, seas 3 to 5, dominant period 10 seconds in the morning. Northeasterly winds on Friday, 15 to 20, 4 to 6 footers, 3 to 4 near shore.
Today, mostly sunny, high of 89. Tonight, after 5 p.m., showers and thunderstorms are likely. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms should continue until about 1 a.m., then mostly cloudy, low of 68. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high of 85. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low of 65. And on Friday, mostly sunny, high of 86.
Mm-hmm.
It's been humid. Yesterday was...
Oh
my word!
We call it thick.
Beyond thick. What's after thick? Because it's whatever that is. That's what it was yesterday.
I took a knife to cut an opening so I could get to the car.
I would walk clients. I always walk my clients out the door.
Yeah.
And every time we would come out of there, it's like you couldn't breathe. It like took your breath away. It was awful.
It was nice working inside yesterday.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm fine. Kind of like chairman of the board, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. For a couple more months.
Yeah, well, the chairman of the board that I met and was the chairman of the board.
Oh, Blue Eyes.
Blue Eyes. It's Mr. Frank Sinatra. Anyway.
Well, we have that in common.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
there
true.
you go.
That is true. Yes.
Can you sing a little bit?
You don't want me to do that. You don't want to run away at whatever audience you got this morning.
Bob Williams, chatted with him a couple of nights ago and got a little bit more information. And first of all, you guys had a meeting last night.
We did have a meeting last night. It was
several items for interest. I'm sure that people should be interested in.
It wasn't long, but it was packed with important stuff. Let's put it that way.
And one of those was the resignation that we had learned about earlier of one of the current school board members, Joseph Speranza.
That is correct. Joe contacted us and put in his resignation last Friday. The board voted on it last night and accepted his resignation reluctantly.
Yes. Well, good. I've read the first couple of paragraphs here, and this is a gentleman.
Yeah.
This is a gentleman.
Very much so. And he was a very good board member.
Yeah. After long deliberation with my family and with a heavy heart, I'm tendering my resignation from the Onslow County Board of Education. This resignation is purely due to medical concerns on my behalf and has absolutely no bearing on the current board or your administration. That was for Dr. Collins.
Correct.
It's been a long time since I've run across a leader like yourself. Again, speaking of Dr. Collins, you truly care about your staff and the responsibility that has been placed upon you to educate our children in this community. Nicely done.
Absolutely.
Now,
a far cry from the other issue that we had to deal with
last week. I mean, this is really cool. Now, what's the latest?
Probably do we even want to know?
A special called meeting on Wednesday, August 31st. The Onslow County Board of Education voted to remove member Russell Eric Whitfield from his seat on the board, effective immediately. Yeah, we followed that. I watched that from afar, 1,800 miles away, and I was watching that hearing. Could not leave it.
Good.
So it was interesting. I'm like, come on.
And we voted last night on the final order of that to be issued to Mr. Whitfield. So,
but it was effective last week.
It was effective last week at the August 31st when we made the
Sure.
decision, 4:17 p.m., I believe it was. And he's got 30 days to appeal the decision that the board made.
That would be to a Superior Court judge.
That
Is
would
that
be
correct?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you heard anything?
I don't know if the clock started last week or if it started last night I think he has to be served with the order before he can actually
Okay.
do that. So
Okay.
the 30-day clock will begin when the order
Whenever.
is served. Yes.
So the Onslow County GOP Executive Committee
gets to select the replacements.
Okay, and they, I understand that they've already started.
They've started part of the process.
They,
I sent a letter to the chair of the Onslow County Republican Party and to the
Mhm.
executive committee, notifying them of the procedures to fill a vacancy on the Onslow County Board of Education.
Okay.
And the law is pretty clear. The executive committee, and I heard you guys talking a little bit about that this morning, executive committee for the party that, if it is a partisan election and a candidate runs in that primary for a partisan election, then the party that they ran in gets to make the selection.
Yeah, well, some of the question was initially that, well, Eric was, he ran as a Republican, was elected as a Republican, became a Democrat.
Correct.
And then he was kicked off the board.
Yeah.
So there are some elements out there that we're kind of wishing and hoping that since he was a Democrat when he left the board, then the Democrat Party could make that choice. But that's not the case.
That's not the law. That's not the way the law was written.
Right. So you're good to go with that one. The GOP Executive Committee has about 35 or 37, whatever,
like that,
members.
yeah.
And they will make the choice.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they may have more than that.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I'm thinking so, because it's all the Republican electeds.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all the precincts. There's 24 of those. It's the executive officers, and I think there's 4 or 5
Something like that.
executive
Okay, there's
officers.
about 70,
70.
but not all will be eligible to vote if they haven't been attending meetings.
Right.
If they've
That's
missed
a
more
you.
than 2
Yes.
meeting unexcused, they can't vote. But yeah.
So,
So apparently
all
there's
elected Republicans are on the.
3 board members, 18 at-large seats, 24 precinct chairs, and approximately 32 elected officials who comprise the executive committee. So it's
Okay.
roughly about 70. Okay, I was like half that.
I thought it was about
Yeah.
35.
Yeah,
So I
did
don't know
too.
how many of those can actually vote. So we'll find out, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Now, if they fail to reach a decision within whatever the 30-day mark is, then the remaining members of the Onslow County Board of Education can choose one.
That's correct.
Okay.
I would encourage the executive committee to meet and make the recommendation to us.
Okay. That should be interesting. I can hear the fighting beginning.
No, I think it's already started just generally.
Yeah. So
The cutthroatness has already begun.
now, who do you think you're still a member, but you're not a voting member of the
Correct.
executive committee?
I'm not going to vote in the executive committee.
Okay.
I think that's a smart move.
What kind of who are they required to? I know that there's already been approaching the other people who ran in the primary. I know of at least 2 that have been approached by individuals on the Board of Education.
Are they required to what?
Are they required to stick to those individuals who ran for election?
The
And lost?
executive committee makes the decisions on how they're going to replace the
Okay.
vacancy. It's up to them.
Okay.
There is nothing in the plan of organization that sets out the procedures for replacing a vacant member. So it's up to the committee, and they've done it different ways, I understand. It was by vote when we replaced Judge Shanahan
Mhm.
on the Board of Commissioners. And that vote was interesting, to say the least.
It was.
Yep. I
Now,
was there for that.
I'm an outsider, of course, but I think if a person, man or woman, in the Republican Party had filed and ran to show their distinct desire to be a member of the board, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's who I would look at first.
Well, you already have a slate of candidates that ran in a primary that have already been vetted. So
Mhm.
that is one primary way to look at
Yep.
the replacements, whether they vote on them or whether they take the first one off the list that was in order of how they ended up in the primary ballot. However they decide, that would be one way that they could approach it.
That would be a nice, legitimate way of doing it.
I do know that there's other people in the public that have already reached out to the party and expressed an interest in being on the board that did not run in the primary. So it's really up to the citizenry and it's up to the executive committee of who to put on the board.
Now, let me just throw something hypothetical.
Sure.
You know me. Suppose that the executive committee, is it possible that they can make a recommendation for a person who cannot hold that office until a date in the future, like in December, maybe in another office? It's not. Would y'all hold off on it? Could you hold off actually swearing somebody in? The executive committee says yes, but we'll make this date, the employment date, effective yada yada yada.
Good question. I hadn't thought about that one, but if they were ineligible because they were already holding office, theoretically, I guess the board could hold off on that procedure. It would be contrary to my thought process to do so. I would think that we want to fill it as quickly as possible, but there's nothing in the law that says when you have to appoint them, as far as I know. So,
okay. So
let's just make it clear, though, I'm not going to be in that category.
I understand that. So, but if you have also decided not to run for re-election,
that is correct.
You and Jeff Hudson.
Yes, I did.
So by my count, that leaves 3 people left standing on the current board.
That is right.
Prior to the election.
That is right.
Now, what I'm thinking is chairman, because you are the chairman.
Sure.
I'm thinking chairman. What in the heck would they be doing? Would they select one of those 3? They don't have to select one of those 3.
They do not.
I think they should, though.
4 new members are going to be on the board, at least.
Once the new board is sworn in December, 2 of the members will still be on there.
Yes.
They'll have to, well, actually, by that time, we'll have 2 additional members by time election time. So
maybe
I'm pretty sure we probably will. So those 4 remaining members, even though they're new on the board, it's anybody's guess. It's the board that makes that decision. They work behind the scenes a lot of time and try to work out who will be best to serve in the position. Yeah. And I can't tell you who that will be. I don't have a clue.
No dog in that fight.
Without knowing who's going to be on the board, it's even difficult to make a prediction of who might be. You may find somebody that gets appointed to the position that had the position in the past in another location. You never know what you might end up with. So you might have somebody with a vast amount of experience of already being a board chair somewhere.
There's some former school board members still around here in Oslo County.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's anybody's guess at this point until the executive committee meets and decides on the process and procedures to use to replace the vacancies, and then goes forward with the actual selection process.
It will be nice after December 1 to get everybody back on the same page again, because you got a lot of business to deal with.
We have a tremendous amount of business to deal with, and the incident at Northside High School last week just ginned up that and made it more difficult for the new board members and the old board members to conduct business as usual.
I had some comments a couple of days ago, and security should be at the top. We've now caught up with the rest of the country. It's come to Onslow County, the rest of the nation. The garbage that's been going on in schools, we now have it. We've had it, but not to the extent that we ended up with the tragic situation last week.
That's exactly correct.
we've all talked about hardening the schools, hardening this, adding security, doing whatever it takes to make sure mass shootings, mass murders don't happen in our system.
Sure.
I don't know what you could have done for last week's situation, because I can go ahead and tell you, it's likely gang related and likely been brewing for a bit of time.
There is a balancing act, as I mentioned last night at our board meeting, between making sure that our kids get a good education and that they're secure in their schools.
Mm-hmm.
That process can be improved on, perhaps, but it comes with a cost.
It does.
Mhm.
If you put magnetometers, or you want everybody coming into the school, or if you put chain link fences and putting concertina wire on the top of the fence to keep
Fence
issues
jumpers
out,
yeah.
or to have points of entry and stuff, all of that has consequences. We have kids in school. We're an education facility. We're not a prison. We don't want to be a prison. We want to be an education facility, but we want to make sure that the kids are safe. If we have to implement additional security measures such as magnetometers or wands, I believe it needs to be on a limited basis as we tackle the underlying reasons for having to put them in place. And then we remove them as quickly as we can once we get the other issues under control.
Fences with razor wire on top of it is, like you say, that's one way of doing it. And if you're going to be running magnetometers, you're going to have a single point of entry.
You have to have a single point of entry, and you have to have a whole cadre of people. You can't process 300 people in 15 minutes through magnetometers without multiple magnetometers. Correct. And multiple points of egress, because as most people have gone through security checkpoints at either events or through the airport, you have one person monitoring the magnetometer.
Yep.
You also have another person with a wand outside there to check them
Yep.
out. You've got several people out there, because when you go through there, you can't take your bag through. So
Nope.
you got 2 or 3 people looking through the bags. Okay. So that's at every point of entry that you decide that you want to do. And if you have schools like Jacksonville High School that have multiple entrances, exactly, there's different hallways down there. They don't all connect. They're open under breezeways and stuff, but you'd have to have something set up at each one of those. And then what do you do during class that time? How do you change classes? You can't have the kids going through the magnetometer every time they change classes.
You get 5 minutes generally, if I recall. You get 5 minutes between
exactly.
classes.
So there's a lot that we have to think about. We will have some changes. Let me put it that way. All right. But what we ultimately implement, we'll have to decide on how do we do that. And it's a trade-off.
Outside experts before you make any decisions. I don't know of any of the folks here who you've had more than probably anybody else in the system now, right?
Correct.
Because you worked in Los Angeles.
I did.
And you worked security.
I worked as an investigator in Los Angeles, yeah. And I mentioned last night that we don't want to turn our kids' classrooms into Los Angeles type of facilities.
No, please.
In the inner cities of Los Angeles, I used to go and visit those schools, and you would have a 10-foot fence, concertina razor wire on the top of the fence to keep intruders outside and keep the bad guys outside. The kids would all have to go through a gate, get wanted to go through the gate. They were living inside of a prison. And it is not a pretty sight. It's not a pretty sight. It's not something we want here in Jacksonville or in Onslow County. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to tap down the issues that are causing the need for the extra security measures.
What are those issues?
Gangs. Clear and simple.
Simply put.
Gangs, they've been around here for a long time.
Yes,
There's not a whole lot of publicity about gangs because, in my opinion, number one, it's not an economic driver. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It has adverse effects to bring it in. When people decide whether they want to come to your area and live, They're looking to schools.
That's the first on that real
Okay.
estate questionnaires. That's what happens.
Whenever I made a military move, I always looked at the school areas where I wanted, and then I selected the house in that particular area. And there's a lot of people that still do that.
Mm-hmm.
They contact us all the time. What school should I go to? You know? Well, I think we have great schools all over Onslow County. But if you have gang activity infiltrating the schools to the extent that it's causing the issues and we end up with a homicide like we did last Thursday, that adversely affects people's decision of where they want to live or if they want to live here at all. For the military members, they don't have a whole lot of choice.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. You're live in Local Real Talk. If you want to give us a call, feel free to do so. Bob Williams is in here, chairman of the Onslow County Board of Education. We're talking about school security right now. 910-333-0139. We'll be right back. And we're back here for a couple of minutes. We're going to have to take another break here shortly. But Bob Williams is chairman of the Onslow County Board of Education. If you're just joining us, he's in here. We're talking school security right now. You've got your work cut out for you. You guys are going to be doing something.
We are doing something. We have done something.
Mm-hmm.
The meeting last night had the item of security on the agenda
Which
long before the incident
thing happened last week.
That's correct. So we had another meeting with the board, briefing to the board back in December. And in between those times, we've had a number of one-on-ones with the superintendent talking about different issues. There's another issue that I'm very interested in, and that's cell phones in the schools and the videotaping of these incidents. I've told the superintendent we need to discuss that. We need to have a policy on that. And it may end up that we have a policy with regards to videotaping and sharing that information. It is a major deterrent if you can't get the information out, because if people are looking for publicity of look what we did,
Yep.
and you can stem the flow of that, you may be able to cut down on some of the foolishness that goes on.
Did a lot of video surface from last week?
I don't know if a lot did. I know that some did. There were video taken.
I've seen it. Yeah.
I haven't seen any of it. I don't look at the social media.
I don't
stuff
go
very
looking
much
for it
anymore.
either, but I was told by parents that their kids, it was shared with the kids. You know, if you got, was it TikTok or something that they utilize that they can just hit a button, or if you're within distance close to you, you can share it on your
Really?
phones, between phones. So
Great.
they do that all the time.
Yeah,
I
they
make
do.
telephone calls on mine.
You have a flip phone, Rayford.
I
so
don't have
there's
a
that.
flip phone.
Oh, you finally got rid of that thing?
I have to look at my phone. It's been.
Do you have to put
Oh, my
oil on that
word.
dial?
He leaves here with a flip phone, comes back.
No, I
with,
don't. That flip
something.
phone's been gone for years.
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is a.
What model phone is that right there, Rayford?
It's a Galaxy
Galaxy what?
S5.
Oh my word! You do know they're on the Galaxy S22, right?
I know they keep trying to
Okay.
sell me that stuff, but I can buy these on eBay, and it's got an
Yes.
interchangeable battery.
Oh,
All I
word.
have to do is take the SIM card and reprogram it into the next one, and I get them for $48 now.
Your dinosaur phone.
It works.
Okay.
I don't take pictures with it, and I don't take videos with
At
it.
least
So
you're
Bob
not-
Rayford doesn't have that capability to share videos from his phone to another because he's got an ancient phone here. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
I don't even know what TikTok is. I don't deal with it. I've heard about it, but I don't do that.
I don't have an account either.
I have an account, don't know how to get on it. So there's that. Like,
All right. So when are you guys are going to, you still got some time on the board. You got September and October and these and November. So you got a quarter of a year here. You got to get something done, Mr. Chairman.
We're going to get something done.
Okay. I'm glad you guys are working on it. That's one
Oh,
of the
yeah.
big things.
Well, and unfortunately, this pushed it up too, and
Mhm.
the silliness that we had to deal with board member misconduct for so long probably detracted from a lot of what we could have got done. So
I agree with that.
unfortunately, that happened. It's done.
You know how much money
we're
it costs
moving
the
on.
taxpayers?
I've got a rough idea, and you don't want to know right now.
Yes, I do.
I would say a lot.
It's a lot. It's probably over 200,000.
Oh my word. I wasn't thinking that much. Oh my word.
Silliness costs.
I agree with you.
Especially as the result of a guy that all he wanted was publicity so he could run for an office, the Board of County Commissioners, so he could reduce taxes.
Oh my.
That
word.
is what he campaigned on the last time. That's what he's been saying
Several
the whole
times, Rayford.
time.
He's ran 3 or 4 times for commissioner.
I'm like, I have one word for it that I can use on the air.
Don't you get the FCC calling here?
Hypocritical.
Okay.
Let me.
Sorry, Eric, you are hypocritical.
We've got 2 actions that actually have 3 actions. We've got 2 board member vacancies, that one current, one coming up at the end of the month, and we've got a general election. I would caution the executive committee. I would caution the voters of
Be
Onslow County.
serious.
Research your candidates, know who you're voting for, and how they're going to effectively work with other board members on the Board of Education or any other board.
Yes.
I'll be glad to screen them.
We need to make sure that we've got a well-rounded board, experience, youth, age, a whole bunch of different things that work in your favor when you're working with board members on a school board, especially. But make sure you know who you're voting for.
Yes.
He told the public
not to vote for him.
Not to vote for him, and he still got elected in the primary and the general. So I don't have any good excuses for that activity other than voter apathy or people simply not doing their homework.
For the executive committee, and right after this break, I'm going to give you one question you should be asking.
Oh, no.
One question. And for every voter, you should be asking, that's these candidates for election and for whatever, you should be asking this one question. At the very end, this one question. You're live and local Real Talk. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, for the executive committee, the Republican Executive Committee, I got some hard decisions to make. And when you're interviewing individuals, and for voters out there, you can ask these individuals the same thing when you see them at public forums or wherever. One question: is there anything that I will learn about you tomorrow that will cause me not to support you today? Is there anything about your past or any writings in your school, in your social media? Is there anything out there that I would learn about you tomorrow that would cause me not to hire you today? Because that's what you're doing. You're hiring them. And voters, it's up to you. Y'all had the choice. You elected a man who told you not only not to vote for him, but said he didn't even vote for himself. He did not vote for himself. You elected him.
I bet he really did. But
That's all on you, all on every one of you out there who made that decision. $200,000 worth of on you.
yeah,
$200,000 worth,
that's 200,000 we could have spent on a metal detector. Just saying.
or lifeguards, or whatever.
Well, no, that's school board money. $200,000 of actual school board money. That's
county tax
less
dollars.
books in the classroom. That's quite a few teachers' aid salary. A whole lot of stuff.
Uh-huh. Bob, I'm so sorry you're not going to be on the board.
Well,
Bob said he's had enough.
I believe in term limits,
But
but
I
I
do
believe
that,
in
yeah.
self-imposed term limits. I
Yeah.
don't think you need to vote people out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to, you can do that.
Yeah.
But I think if people step up to the plate and they take responsibility and they say 8 years is, well, it'll be 8.5 for me.
Mhm.
But if you say that I'm going to run for this particular time frame, it should not have been a career for board members.
I agree.
And
I
we've got
totally
a lot
agree.
of board members that have made it careers in different boards or different offices. And I just think that if you change your public officials periodically, you get a fresh view.
Mhm.
And people aren't able to, especially at the congressional level, aren't able to amass billions of dollars of wealth while they're in there earning 160 some thousand or 180,000, whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd love to
what a
know how
mess,
that
what a
works.
mess.
but yeah.
Bob, thanks for coming in,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing me.
And I will see you at 14652.
I'll be there. I'm on there right now. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.
All right,
Bye.
73 Steve. Thank you, sir. Bob's a ham guy.
Yes, I know. He lives down the street from me.
146.5. Does he interfere with your TV when he's out there
Mm-mm.
talking?
Mm-mm.
Good.
He
It doesn't
does
happen.
not.
Doesn't happen too much with.
Mm-mm.
No, I don't
Did
have
they-
any heavy duty amplifiers.
Well, I never did either, but I used to really interfere with my own local TV in the house.
When they were analog TVs,
yeah.
it's a lot easier, especially if you're in there, because some of the channel bands are right in between the ham bands.
Really close.
Really close.
Yeah.
So if you've got an antenna that's not 1-to-1,
Mhm.
or it's way over 2,
Yep.
It'll
Good
cause you a
tussling
little
stuff.
spurious
I
radiation.
will give you a little hint. Vertical antennas do it a lot. All right, you're live in Local Real Talk. Don't go away. Fox News is next, and we'll be right back. Dr. Rose. And we are back right after Fox News, like I said.
Mhm.
And coming up here in a few minutes, we'll be getting a call from Dr. Rosemary Stein. This mess at our high school here, one of our high schools here, last week. She has not. I'm sure she's heard about it now, and we've just heard it from the chairman here. The number one problem that they've got security-wise deals with gangs, gang activity. We all know there are gangs here. Some people had their heads buried in the sand.
They've been here.
Yeah, they've been here. It's escalating. Obviously, when there's gang warfare, other people get hurt too. Now, I didn't go there with Bob, but I'll tell you, some of the mentality in some of the big cities are, as long as the gangbangers are just gang banging each other, it's okay.
But that never is
It's
the case.
never the
It
case.
always
There's too many.
spills over. Yes.
They when they do drive-bys, one gang shooting at another gang, there are innocent kids hanging around.
That's
There
innocent, a lot
are
of
bullets
things,
go
yeah.
everywhere. They are not smart bullets. They
And
don't
they
just
don't
pick
say,
their
"Oh,
target.
wait, you know those people there." No,
Oh,
they
no,
don't
no, no.
care.
They do
Yeah.
not care. They will spray into a
Yeah.
crowd in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
They
Well-
don't care about innocent civilians, innocent kids. We read about it every day. You know, there's going to be an 8-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid, a 5-year-old child, a baby in a stroller that's going to be killed this week because of gang activity.
Yeah.
It's going to happen this week.
Well, I'll tell you, I am all for metal detectors because in schools, as a parent, as a grandparent, I'm all for it because I think that will detect something, a weapon.
There's going to have to be something done. I don't know. It's
The razor
Random-
wire around the
Now,
school doesn't it ain't gonna stop a kid with putting something in their backpack.
our
or have it in their
chairman,
pocket.
of the board here just told us
Mhm.
they know that they're a gang, and they know who and the schools have pictures, and they know who the gang members are, those who have been identified. They
Yeah.
know who
Yeah,
they
he
are.
did say that off air.
So those need to be segregated,
Mhm.
and they can be run through magnetometers. Their bags searched before they get it. They
But
can
here's
be
the pro-
high risk people.
Okay, but what's going to stop them from intimidating little Kelly into carrying the weapon for them? Because that's why I say, look, we're
Birds of a
life has
feather flock
changed,
together.
but life has changed.
Mhm.
So let's just do the metal detectors because that razor wire and fence around the school is not going to stop Kelly or Rayford from bringing a weapon in.
No.
But a metal detector will. It'll deter me.
No. Good morning, Dr. Rose. How are you?
I am doing well. Good morning. Nice to hear your voice, Mr. Rayford. I'm glad you're back.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it, and I'm glad to be back. Always fun to go, always fun to be there, and always fun to come home. And sometime today, I'm supposed to get my luggage.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Do you know where your luggage is?
Yeah,
he
in
finally
Hotlanta.
found it. Yeah.
Hotlanta.
Oh, okay, Atlanta. That's good. That's good. There's one time that we went on a school trip to Europe with Hannah, and our luggage had a better trip than we did.
I had the same experience. I had our luggage a few years ago. We took a one of those nondescript airlines, cheapy ones, and we went directly from Charlotte. Now we drove to Charlotte because the deal was so good we could afford to drive to Charlotte. Drove to Charlotte, 4 of us, got aboard the airplane, got there just fine, had a grand old time. On the way back, it was a delay even leaving the place. Hours and hours and hours. Obviously, that's going to make my return to Charlotte an all-night drive. Then when we got to Charlotte, there was no luggage. It was down in another island, Curacao.
Oh my.
And then,
Oh.
I kept calling. Of course, they don't answer the phone there all the time because they don't work all the time. Then I finally got through. And then I said, where's the luggage is here? Well, yeah, but we've already shipped it out. Okay. When'd you ship it out? 2 days ago. Well, where is it? We don't know. Oh, wait a minute. It says it's back on its way back to Curacao. What? Where'd you ship it to? We shipped it to Jacksonville, Florida. I said, what? No. I'm in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Oh, came back. We tracked it. They had tags on it at every location. It went from Curacao to Jacksonville, Florida, from Jacksonville, Florida, back to Miami, from Miami to Curacao, finally back to Charlotte. And then Charlotte had to ship it back to Wilmington, to Jacksonville. It's like, really?
International luggage.
The fun part about that was the day I called her, the lady at the ticket counter in Curacao. I said, well, wait a minute now. It's been 3 days. Can you answer one question? Yeah. How long can a live iguana stay alive without water and food? He's in my baggage. Oh my
Lord.
God, no.
You did not do that. And
Yes,
you
that's
wonder
right.
why people go through your bags. Right there is why.
Well, anyway, it was fun. I got my baggage anyway.
All right, Dr. Rose, what after the first week of school officially, what kind of illnesses are you seeing?
All kinds of illnesses. But for a moment, I'm going to address what you guys are talking about with the schools and everything, because Dave and I were talking about this morning, and what's going to stop a lot of this nonsense is parental responsibility. And for a while, if we can't get the job done, then we're going to have to let the authorities do the job for us, because this whole parental responsibility gets really serious when you're not talking about kids that are being woke, but you're talking about kids that are bringing guns and being dangerous at school. If you start, we start putting those parents that are not being responsible and the kids are doing dangerous stuff in jail, then a lot of this is going to go away. Yes, it may appear unfair, but it is our responsibility to make sure that we do a good job and that we raise people, or at least teenagers, that are not a menace to society. If your child is a menace to society, that is individually your job. You should be in jail for that. If your kid does something that hurts somebody else, and that other person is innocent, then you should be in jail because you did not do your job, or life did not do your job raising that kid.
Last week here in Jacksonville, one kid killed another and wounded another one with a knife in school at 7:00 in the morning. All indications are it's gang related. All of them are juveniles under 18. We're talking about the school board's talking about school security. They coincidentally had it on their agenda for last night's meeting, and that agenda was made out, a week ago or more before the killing. Bob Williams, our chairman of the board here, was in with us for the past 30 minutes. Here's the problem: gangs. They know who they are. They've identified the gang members. Every school has pictures of them. They know who they are, names and pictures. The law enforcement know who they are, but we allow them in schools. If you've been identified as a gang member, if you've been identified as a terrorist, you cannot fly on an airplane.
That's true. True statement.
So what's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, for the safety of the rest of the kids, you may decide that you're going to feel sorry for that kid who is in a gang and who's had this terrible behavior. But how about we start having sympathy for the kid in the chair that's there to learn? That's the kid that we should be making sure that we look after.
Yes.
And each one of these kids has a parent or a guardian. Well, the police should be knocking on those doors. So I would suggest that the Board of Education would be working together with the police department.
They have
and the county sheriffs, and knocking on their doors and making a nuisance of themselves. By going over there every day if possible. Hey, your kid. Hey, your kid. Hey, your kid. And I'll tell you, if I have to come over to your house 3 times because your kid did something, you're in jail. It's gonna make them think twice, because those parents are going to lay down their home law on that kid.
The problem is, as we all have known, in gang activity, gangs themselves, they're multi-generational. Their mama and their daddy may have been in a gang. Likely they were at some point in time.
Maybe still are.
And maybe still are. You're not going to a nice home when you go talk to these gangbangers, okay? The parents of the gangbangers. You're going to the scum of the earth right up front. Something's got to be done. There's got to stop it.
That's true. I think some of these parents just need to be in jail themselves for a while.
Not a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Go away.
So anyway, but go away for a while. the whole lot of you.
Yes.
But to me, that stops it doesn't reform hearts, but it will at least momentarily stop bad behavior, and it will make people think twice about being these kinds of people and having these kinds of actions, because, well, you don't want your parent getting on your case.
Yeah. Well, changing their attitude is not my problem. Stopping them from creating, that's for the nice, easygoing people out there like Kelly and you and other folks. I just want them out of the system. I don't want them being
That's
have
right.
access to my grandchild or anybody else's kids. I don't want them to have access to them. They should not have to be subjected to that kind of abuse.
Completely agree.
What do you think about
Yeah,
our chairman also brought up something else. He said that on every situation like this, and we've seen it off campus and on campus, there's a fight, there's a this, there's a that. There are 40 people standing around with their cell phones shooting video and uploading it to TikTok. Is that what it is?
TikTok. Most of the
and
time, or
and then
Snapchat.
then it goes everywhere.
Instagram. Yeah.
What do you think about removing school cell phones from kids when they come to school?
I think it should have been done a long time ago.
It used to be done. We couldn't carry. I mean,
That's right.
Not in my time, but even in the beginning when there were pagers everywhere, no, they were not allowed in school. Cell phones were not allowed in school.
Yeah, there was a big old basket.
Yeah.
Even when Hannah was going through school, 10 years ago, there was a big old basket. You had to put the phone down as you came into the classroom, and you picked up your phone at the end of the class.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, and as for doing this thing where you're videotaping the people who are having a fight, personally, I would make sure that each one of those kids that I found was on Snapchat and TikTok and putting this down like it's amusement. I'd go back and I'd suspend them for 3 days.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep. That's how you use suspense. You're gonna instead of helping out, getting teachers, anything that you could do that was more significant than videotaping this and putting it out there like it's fun for the world to see. Well, then you're going to be punished for that kind of behavior. And yeah, the parent's going to come after you, but stand your ground. Say, yeah.
Okay, now
that's what you raise your kids to be. You should maybe you should be suspended too.
Chairman Williams also suggested that these known gangbangers they're not allowed in school. Virtual learning. Y'all have gotten used to it, so go back home and continue it. You're not going to do well anyway in school. Gangbangers, gang members, they're not going to do well in school. Who cares? Let them learn virtually.
I'd say put them in a separate school just for them. Because here's the thing,
That's
if they're
like prison,
home,
though, they learn from each other.
Well, I understand, but at home, they're going to be free to roam around and break into houses and everything else. We had that caller last week that called in whose house had gotten broken into and guns stolen, and they were teenagers. So, I mean, if you're keeping them at home, they're free to roam around and commit crimes out in the public in general. So I don't know if putting them at home is the idea.
Well, not if they're on virtual learning, they can't leave.
What are you talking about?
Well, I think the most important thing is to get them out of the school.
Yes, I do.
You got 90% of kids that are good, 10% of kids that are bad. You take away the 10%, you're going to do better. So that's the first thing, and then we can talk about what do we do with these kids.
Yeah.
And I think I really think that the way to decrease this bad behavior in the kids is to lay down the law on the parent, because that gets them afraid. They don't want to be involved with the law any more than the law wants to be involved with them.
Yeah.
But that's going to change their behavior.
The problem is you've got too many people screaming about rights.
Your rights end where mine begin.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but that's not what's happening in reality.
Mm-hmm.
You just talked earlier about Tennessee hadn't committed executions and halted all for this year.
Yeah.
So the only argument you're going to get from people is people have rights, people have this.
That was the governor. He was going to go.
But it's going to happen. It's happening everywhere.
Sure.
No, and it's true. And I think that's where the leadership has to stand its ground. We know what's right, and we got to do it. And we have to face the consequence of doing what's right. And you may be stripped of your powers, and you may have to answer to angry mobs. But you know what's right, and we just have to stick. We have to together stick by it. And, and we all have consequences. I'll tell you a real quick story that I might have brought up a couple of times. is that about a year ago, I was asked to talk about masks and whether children should wear them universally at school. And it was by a board member here in our Alamance County. So I wrote about it, and and I posted on Facebook so that people would see and they would think about it, and they would make their own decision. Well, just 2 months later, I got a letter from the Board of Medicine from North Carolina, and they said that two people in Mark County who don't even bring their children to my clinic complained about me. Well, would you believe that from those two complaints, I'm sitting in front of the board in 2 weeks?
Really?
But do you think I'm going to back up and say, "Oh no, I was sorry. It was a bad idea for me to talk about it"? No, I did it honestly. I was asked to do this and think about, and I sat there and thought about the whole situation. I thought about the harm that we were doing our children. And the thing is, in 2 weeks, it may be dangerous for me to sit down and say, "Hey guys, what I said then holds true now." And if you look at the data was still correct. It is correct today, and I stand by what I said. And then sitting me down and telling me that I shouldn't have said that, and for me to acquiesce to you is for me to be a coward of what I know is true.
Mm-hmm.
But the
This is
CDC
how-
came out and said masks aren't effective.
I know, but I'm going to bring this argument back to this whole thing about our kids.
Mm-hmm.
That is much more dangerous. Allowing gang members back into our school is much more dangerous than the whole mask debate. We have to stand by our kids. We have to stand by what we know to be true. And yes, we're going to get arguments. Yes, we're going to get people trying to take away whatever our licenses are, our status is. But we have to do what's right for other kids and other people. When I sit in front of the board in 2 weeks, yeah, I'm going to be a little scared. I'm going to be trepidatious. I know that they're going to sort of muscle me and tell me that they're going to try to take my license away for doing what I knew to be right. But I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to go in there prayerfully and thoughtfully, and I'm going to stand my ground and say, this is why I did that. And if I'm given the same situation, yeah, I'll be conflicted, but I'm going to do the same thing because it was the right thing to do. That's how we should be acting every day. I'm not tooting my own horn, but it's an action that we have to stand our ground for our kids. Because otherwise, our whole America is going to go to crap.
Well, I agree. And this whole, if those two parents wanted to put masks on the kids, go ahead. But kids with asthma, masks are a problem. Kids with autism, masks are a problem. Kids with processing disorder, like my grandson, masks are a problem. Like not everybody can wear a mask. I have asthma. I wear a mask,
That's right.
and it like affects me almost immediately. Like, I mean, and who are these people to say, and when the CDC comes out like what a month ago and said, what, masks really don't work.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And just think about the board acquiescing to that and saying, okay, we're going to go and attack the doctors because I'm not the only one.
Well, they've made it political. That's the problem.
Exactly.
It was political. The whole thing was political from the get-go. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dr. Rose, we got to run. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We'll talk next week.
Yes.
You're right. Live and local Real Talk, Freedom 97.1, 1120 AM, WSME. If you want a good deal for boating or fishing or whatever, stop in at Tideline Marine during the month of September for all kinds of specials. Sign up at the desk for regular email specials the fine folks at Tideline are offering you. Don't forget, one day it's going to be okay to hunt for flounders again. That includes a favorite of a lot of folks in this neck of the woods, gigging for flounders. Tideline has a special running right now, a 10-foot all-metal gig for $99.99. A $20 savings on that one alone. For all of your fishing and boating needs, check out Tideline Marine and Family, 159 Old Bridge Street, on the banks of the New River in downtown Jacksonville. Northwesterly winds offshore today, 10 to 15 knots, becoming easterly 5 to 10 in the afternoon. Seas 2 to 4, dominant period 8 seconds. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop, diminishing to a light chop this afternoon. Northerly winds on Thursday, 10 to 15, seas 3 to 5, dominant period 10 seconds in the morning. Friday, northeasterly winds 15 to 20, seas 4 to 6, except 3 to 4 near shore.
Today, mostly sunny, a high of 89, with showers and thunderstorms likely after 5 p.m. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low of 68. Showers and thunderstorms likely before 1 a.m. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high of 85. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low of 65. Friday, mostly sunny, high of 86.
And we have a caller. Good morning. Who's this?
Hey, good morning, Rayford Kelly. This is Curtis. How y'all doing this morning?
Fine,
Good. How are
Curtis.
you
What's
doing?
up?
Pretty good. I've been listening to the show this morning about school security,
Mhm.
and you know, it's a catch-22.
Yep.
I had somebody tell me the other day that the school systems, the public school system, could take a lesson from what they did in the airports after 9/11, and I told him that that you couldn't compare the two because, you know, in airports you're basically dealing with adults and stuff, and in schools you're dealing with children, and every parent in the world has a different idea of how secure their child needs to be. And when you start dealing with parents, I mean, it's catch-22. Everybody's got their own idea of it and everything. But about the security detection devices, going into a school would have to figure out how to make the internal part of the school pure. In other words, when the kids go inside the school and go through the scanners, they're not going to be able to, walk around or walk off campus, or like high schoolers walk out to the parking lot, get something out of the car, and then walk back in. And if they put in an internal fence of some kind, let's just say, like, okay, the stabbing at Northside last week, that happened when they actually weren't in class.
Correct.
Kids were congregating before class. What if you put an internal fence up or something, and it's during a time of recess or lunch or a break, and kids are out and about on the campus grounds and stuff, and all of a sudden you have an active shooter, and the kids are trying to run off campus, but they can't get out because there's a fence, and it really is a catch-22, and it's gonna take a lot of people to come together and make the right decisions. You're dealing with local bureaucracy when it comes to funding. You're going to have additional security personnel, possibly additional police officers, school resource officers. It's going to take a lot of funding from the state government and the local county government and the Board of Education to make something happen, whatever they decide to do. I mean, there's all kinds of ways. I mean, it's just mind-boggling that at all the different ways that you could go about doing it, but nobody can come together as one to figure it out.
Curtis, do you fly internationally at all? You leave the country?
I do I don't fly internationally. I have flown internationally when I was in the military, but I don't generally do that.
These days, coming in from a lot of countries, you're going to find somebody roaming around. It's going to have a little doggy with him.
Mm-hmm.
Would that intimidate you? Just because
A dog?
he's got a little dog with him. Not a big old, not a big old vicious police dog or anything like that. Just a little doggy. That doesn't intimidate you, does it?
No.
Absolutely not.
Then why don't we have?
That's another way right there, Ray. See, there's all kinds of ways that
these dogs are trained. Many of them can be trained to look for drugs, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You find guns on a campus, you're going to find somebody with drugs as well. But anyway, look for drugs, look for guns. They can detect that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They got a way to do it. The little nondescript doggy, and just put one or two of those. Walk in the hallways every day as students are coming and going. With an officer, of course.
right.
An officer or a veteran.
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
Veterans can help man the for example, I Curtis, I will say I don't think that fences and concertina wire around a school is a deterrent. That's not going to stop a kid from bringing a knife in. But I definitely think a metal detector will deter. I'm not going to say it's going to prevent 100% of the time, but a metal detector will deter a knife coming in. Now, but also, and you don't need an officer to run a metal detector. You can hire veterans.
Mm-hmm.
They have TSA. People run those.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think there's
very good point. Very good point. Yeah.
There's things that we could do, especially in this community, which we have, I think, resources in this community that other communities don't have. But we do have a big veteran population, and I think it could be done. I think it may take some planning, but we're going to have to do something. And talking about it is not going to solve the problem. So we're going to have to start acting, or this is going to happen again.
Amen.
Bottom line.
But also remember, at the airport, you're generally boarding through any one gate or through TSA.
Mm-hmm.
You're generally boarding fewer than 200 people.
Yeah.
And they're, like you say, they're generally adults.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be running helter-skelter like kids will be.
Well, some act a fool, but yeah.
Yeah, well, some we ran into one of those in Atlanta, but he got pulled aside.
Yeah.
They have a captive group of people who are wanting to go somewhere. And they're very willing, in most cases, to go ahead, and Juan may do whatever. Do your thing. Walk through this detector and do it, magnetometer. I don't have a problem with it. I encourage it because I don't want Kelly getting aboard the plane with a 44 Magnum. You understand?
I'd leave that in my luggage.
Right.
But here's the thing. Look at Disney World.
Hey, guys,
okay?
I was just thinking about something. Obviously, students knew that there was gang activity going on.
Yeah.
But, I just wonder if there's any kind of tool that the county has where, they bring the body of students together and they actually educate them on being consciously aware, keeping your eyes open, report instances.
Okay, let me stop you right there.
Think of Doc.
Let me, okay. Yes, they do
Think
that.
of, oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
here's the other thing. You're thinking like an adult. These kids will tell you they're not snitches. And that's what the number one thing. You ask any school teacher out here, any SRO, these kids will tell you they are not, we don't snitch. So you're going to have a hard time getting these kids to tell on anybody because you got to remember, these kids view things very differently than the adults do, period. And I had a couple of kid clients tell me that, well, I'm not a snitch. And so you are not going to be able to get through all these kids. They have that snitching mentality, and they do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know it's sad. Yeah.
Kelly's right in that respect. Since we now know that the school knows who the gangbangers are, who the gang members are, I don't have a problem with putting their pictures up on the walls in school.
But let me explain. The kids already know who the gangbangers
I
are.
understand.
They know who they
But
are.
if you let the gangbangers know that we know who you are,
But they know it too. But they know it. But they don't. Rafe, you got to understand. They don't care.
I understand that, but they don't know that one of those other students, the 90% that we're talking about that are good people, they don't know that one of those 90% ain't going to be a non-snitcher that will rat them out.
You're going to have a hard time finding the non-snitchers. I'm
I
telling you right
hope so.
now.
Wow.
Make it anonymous,
Mhm.
just like they do Crime
Hey,
Stoppers.
you guys have a good morning. I'll talk
Curtis,
to you later.
appreciate your call, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Anytime.
Mhm.
All right.
Let's go ahead and take a break here. You're live and local Real Talk. We'll be right back. After 5 years, Onslow County being the last or one of the
One
last?
of the last is they're not the last, but there's a list.
We're finally climbing.
19 counties still have them, but yeah.
Okay, what we're
Yeah.
talking about, inspections, your vehicle inspections. Now,
Emissions inspections.
it was passed
2016, 2017,
about 5
Yep.
years ago
and
that
2017. Yeah.
we don't need to have emissions inspections anymore. And most of the counties in North Carolina, it was fine. They've
Mhm.
approved it. No big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Onslow County,
Hallelujah.
somebody at the state
Yeah.
level did not like us.
Nope, they didn't. Till yesterday.
Until yesterday.
Yeah. EPA finally agreed. Effective November 1, we no longer have to have emissions inspections.
See, I'm not sure
here in
why you
Onslow.
have to say November 1.
They just said November
Why
1.
not effective immediately?
I agree,
What is
Rayford.
what is the waiting
I
period here
am
for?
100% agreeing with
They
you.
got all
Yeah.
of September, October.
Mhm.
So how many vehicles
Yeah.
are getting inspected again, and you got to pay for it
I agree.
for that emissions inspections?
I agree 100%. But at least finally, hallelujah, they dealt with it.
Yeah,
Still,
well,
it should not have taken this long.
it's about time.
5
Good morning.
years.
Who's this? I think I know.
Hey,
Hey,
It's
Joy.
Hey, Joy.
welcome back, Rayburn.
Thank you. I appreciate it. What's going
Thank you
on?
for sharing those pictures.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
Hey, Kelly. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, guys.
Good. Good.
I know you're on admissions right now, but I'm gonna back up a little
for
bit
it.
No,
because
we just
We
had to
can-
throw
I
that
just
out there
wanted to
real
get that out
quickly.
there because I was worried we'd forget if we didn't. Yeah.
I was just thinking something.
Mhm.
You know, don't we have that alternative school out there still close to the base?
Yes, we do. OCLC.
How many students does that hold? I wonder.
A lot. Well, right. Quite a
So-
few. Yeah.
Wonder why they can't put the gang members out that way.
Well, that school is for kids that have gotten in trouble or gotten suspended or whatever. I think, and I don't know the answer to this, but I would
Right.
think they may be concerned that,
The more
Too
vicious.
many of them.
Yeah.
Too many
Well,
of them.
no,
will
we
cause-
just
gang members are potentially very dangerous
yes,
people.
very dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're in a different class than somebody that cuts up in class or
Mhm.
whatever, and they get suspended for, getting into fisticuffs or
Yeah,
cussing the teacher or doing whatever.
smoking on campus or
Yeah.
whatever.
There's,
And,
Yeah.
but aren't some of them? Well, I don't know if this is true or not. Aren't some of them are in there and they don't really want to be in there, but they're sort of forced to be in there?
What are you talking about at OCLC?
A gang member.
I don't know whether they put gang members in there
No, you
just
mean in the
because they're
gangs?
just because they're gang
Yeah.
members.
No, these
Yeah.
gang members are in the gang because they want to be.
Okay, what about the next thing? I'm just sort of like hitting around here.
Mhm.
I did read this morning where they have talked about the metal detectors, and they're going to probably
Well,
pass
I'm all
that.
for them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think they're going to go with that deal. What about those German Shepherds dogs? Can they sniff stuff like
Yeah, some of them can.
Some of the dogs can, yes, they can sniff out weapons. They can sniff out drugs. I would have them there in the schools
Look, it's a
personally.
drug problem as we have in general anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the JPD and the sheriff's office ought
Yeah.
to be patrolling once a week randomly, not the same day, obviously, because that just makes it too easy. They
right?
need to go up and down the halls.
Yeah.
Check the
I was
buses.
thinking maybe that
all
dogs
of
would maybe be cheaper even than the metal detectors sometimes, possibly.
Well, I'll tell
Oh,
you what,
start.
when you start busting gang members because they got dope on them,
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
anybody that's got dope on them, but
Mhm.
many of those are going to be gangbangers, right?
Absolutely.
So at that point in time, once a drug dog sniffs you out,
Mhm.
well,
Yes,
you now
sir.
have probable cause to search the individual.
Right.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Then
Do it.
whatever is found that's contraband, you're in trouble.
But I think you're going to
Exactly.
find a lot of contraband on kids that aren't just gang members. We need to go back to those. I
Yep.
don't want to hear about rights and whatever. Go
Yes.
back to making our schools safe.
Yes.
Get those drug dogs down there.
Yes.
Get Benito. He's a BA drug dog.
Yeah.
I like Benito at the sheriff's office now.
Yeah.
I was
him in
thinking
there.
about a dog.
Yeah.
I was thinking a quick fix before they could get all the metal detectors and that
I
type
agree.
thing.
You got to start with something.
Yeah.
Get the drug dogs while we're getting the metal
Metal
detectors.
detectors are not
Yeah.
going to detect any
They're not going
drugs.
to detect the drugs, but
Right.
they'll detect the metal, but not the drugs.
The
yeah.
dogs are the answer, I
Yeah.
think, in the beginning and in the long
beginning
Yeah.
while
run.
we're waiting. Yeah, get those.
Yeah,
drugs.
that's what I was
Have
thinking.
the drug
Also,
dogs at all the ball games.
yeah, oh,
Boom.
most definitely.
Heck yeah!
Wouldn't be that
Lord.
many people in the stands
You'd have to
afterwards.
call the cops to come and
You'd have to
one of
have
those
some
those
buses
big
out there.
giant cop wagons when
Yeah.
they had those big
Paddy wagon.
roundups.
Yeah.
Round them up and get them out. Yeah, but you got
I
to
was-
start with something.
That's what I was thinking. I was trying to think. Now, what would be the cheapest? Maybe. Well, I don't know if it. Maybe I'm sure it'd be the cheapest until they could get all of the metal detectors and that type of thing installed. But also the third thing, and then I'm gonna let you go. I was reading that lady's statement. You know, sometimes you have to make where she said that parents had to sign forms that you would be responsible for your child's issues if you had any problems. Okay, which is a good thing, but sometimes you have to take one person to make the example for the other ones to understand this is what's going to happen to you if your child does that, which is sad that that might have to happen. So by signing that form, yeah, that's a good thing, but until you take action, it's not going to mean anything to any of these other parents.
But also, you got to understand, y'all all sometimes are missing. Not every parent cares. Like I know everybody thinks alike, but they don't. I mean, a lot of these parents don't give two flying kitties about that form. They'll sign it. They don't care if you're going to hold them responsible. These are the same people that don't feed their kids. They beat their kids. They leave them home alone. They are in the gangs themselves. They are, letting them do whatever. A lot of, I hate to say this, but there are a lot of uninvolved parents. They don't care about these children. That's
so do you think if they're held responsible, would that mean if your child is charged with manslaughter and you're saying you take responsibility, could you also be charged with manslaughter?
No.
Okay. So maybe we need to have something that the parents could be punished with something also in addition to, since they've taken responsibility.
Unfortunately, being a bad parent's not a crime. I hate to say it, but it's true. Being a bad parent is not a crime. It's a societal crime, but it's not a crime. You can't arrest somebody for being a bad parent unless it involves like abuse, neglect, or whatever. But just because Johnny's at school acting up, you can't charge a parent with that. So these parents are going to sign that form, and some of them are going to laugh and be like, "Okay, what are you going to do to me?
What are you
going to do to them?"
That was my whole point. Was I mean, if you're not, you're going to sign the form, but if you're not going to do anything, if there's no consequences by that parent signing that form.
What's the consequence?
Exactly.
There's no crime committed by the parent. What's the consequence?
That was my whole point there too.
Yeah. So
okay, well, I think the dogs are a good idea. I guess I'm not doing too bad. 1 out of 3 anyway.
I agree with you on the dogs. I think
okay, well, I
guess
I got a point for the day. Then I guess I'm doing okay.
There you go. Did well. Thank you.
Y'all have a good one, guys.
Bye, Joy.
You too, Joy.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.
You're live in Local Real Talk, 910-333-0139. Want to jump on board? The water's warm, 910-333-0139. We'll be right back. right, we're back here in the waning 8 or 10 minutes here of the show, and we've got the caller on the line. I think this is Mike, right?
Yes, it is. It's Mike out in Swansboro. How you doing,
Hey,
Rayford?
Mike
Welcome
on
back.
Swansboro. Appreciate it, sir. Thanks for filling in one day, too.
Absolutely. That was a lot of fun. I hope the opportunity arises at some point down the road, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Intriguing conversation you have going on this morning about school safety.
Thank you, sir.
It's amazing. Just at the last call that you had there, we're talking about maybe walking dogs randomly through schools, here and there. But, you're going to go all in or just do it the way we've been doing it all along. And up to, last week, we've been pretty lucky. But think about it. We got 40 educational facilities in Onslow County Public Schools. There's 21 elementary schools, 8 middle schools, 7 high schools. This is a conversation that you've started it, but continue it with the school board, Onslow County School Board, and the commissioners, because if you want to do it right, you're going to have to create a whole other division within law enforcement.
Thank you.
That's at the county level.
We were just talking about that
off the air. Yeah.
I mean, okay, let's bring a German Shepherd through Swansboro High School maybe once a month. You know what? It ain't going to work. It's window
it's got to
dressing.
be done a couple
You got to
times
do
a
it.
week
You got to
minimum.
go all in.
Yeah.
You got to. It'd be like saying, you know what? Let's just check one bag a week at an airport.
No.
That'll kind of keep the hijackers at bay. Look what you did. You created TSA. I'm not saying we go to that extent, but if you're going to do it right, you're going to have to create a whole other. Just take Onslow County schools in the county. You're going to have to create a whole other division within the sheriff's office, just like you have civil, just like you have detention, just like you have patrol. And you're talking money.
Rayford and I have a plan. We have a
Go ahead.
plan. Yeah.
Here's the thought process there, and in the immediate, like now.
Yeah.
Officers ride around, and we know that they ride around. They stop and they look. They stop, look, and listen, and do whatever. Right. Periodically, when things are quiet during school hours, and have these officers, especially those with dogs, they look. Okay, it's coming up on 8:55. They got a break coming up here at Jacksonville High School at 9:00. I'm going to get out with my dog, and I'm just going to walk, even if I walk one of the hallways that day.
Yeah. Well, again, too, they only have so many canines.
I know that, but you don't have to
We
spend.
don't need a canine. We were talking about just patrol officers, for example, that are sitting in their cars talking. I know in my neighborhood where they sit, and they are assigned areas. So make part of their duty. They get out of their car and they walk to school.
In the short term, that plan holds a little water, but honestly, you got to commit to it.
It's got to be committed.
It had to be committed. Yes.
Yeah. They can't get magnetometers up overnight in every.
No, I know that.
No. So in the meantime,
but I hope that Dr. Barry Collins and his staff and the incoming sheriff of Onslow County and the municipalities, the chiefs in the municipalities are talking about. That was one of our intent when we had our town hall meeting a few weeks ago here in Swansboro. And unfortunately, it didn't go down that road. It went down another road, which is, well deserved as well, mental health. But this is what we're talking about. This assailant at Northside. This sounds premeditated to me. I don't know the facts of the case, but somebody had to have known something prior to 7:02 on the morning of that this was going to go down.
It was an ongoing rivalry. It's gang related. There's no doubt. There's zero doubt. The investigation is showing that.
Well, and I think if you look back on police reports, and if you talk to the people in law enforcement over the summer and even this past spring, there was a beef and there was a lot of activity, shooting and gangs in the Sandy Run area of Jacksonville, and then over on Piney Green. So you got Sandy Run, which is north side, you got Piney Green, which is White Oak. In fact, I believe White Oak last year, you could ask the school officials, they had more than 40 felony assaults in the school during last year's calendar year, 6 of which were on adults inside the school. They've beefed up the SROs from 1 to 2 at White Oak, and I believe some other schools too. But it was a direct result of the violence they incurred last year at White Oak High School. So this pot's been simmering, and it boiled over at Northside.
And again, we know they got 2 school resource officers. The whole classrooms, every one of them know there are 2 of them on campus. But why not just a deputy that's got a few minutes, got to stop somewhere?
Well, here's the other thing, Rayford. You got a whole fleet of buses. So think about your international air travels you talked about. I guarantee you, your flight from back to the United States had an air marshal on it. You're going to have to put something similar on all the school buses, because violence can occur on a school bus, and all you got is a driver.
I drove one of those things. I know.
Yeah, the kids used to drive them. Now you got a retired person, driving in morning and afternoon, but they got to drive a bus. They can't be, doing security with the bus. So you're talking about that as well too.
Sure.
The school's got a huge challenge ahead of them, trying to keep the kids safe.
You got it.
27,000 students, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely.
Good conversation. I hope it doesn't end today.
It's not going to end with
No.
me.
But
We've got a
No.
topic. This and
I've
lifeguards.
got
I'm
a
on it.
grandson in public school now, so Onslow County School
Yeah.
System is going to be like, man, shut her up. But my grandson is now in public school, and so no, and he's only in the 3rd grade. Oh, I'm not
Yeah.
letting this go because he's my
You're a
world.
stakeholder.
Yeah,
You're a
absolutely.
stakeholder.
And if Eric Whitfield had done the right thing,
We'd had $200,000 right now that we could use. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
what that thing cost us.
You got Kelly, you're
that
going to
we
put a
know
couple
of.
zeros behind that to get this thing done right.
I
That
know.
Oh, I know that.
200,000,
Oh, I
you're
know.
gonna put
It's a
couple
start.
zeros.
I just say a start. Oh,
Yeah.
I know, but I'm willing as a
It's a start,
taxpayer.
yeah.
I'm willing to pay extra.
There's grant
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
out there. Too,
Well,
I
and
guarantee you.
there's
COVID
there's
money.
the other thing too, and you're running out of time, but the taxpayers just got that big clunk in the mailbox last week with their tax rate
Yeah.
Yep.
going up. Mine went up 22%, and come right behind it was all my insurance, wind and hail, flood,
Mhm.
everything's going up.
Mhm.
The
Yep.
inflation, transitory inflation is taking hold permanently.
Yeah.
So
November
we got that to
2024
consider.
needs to hurry up and get here.
Needs
Yeah,
to.
you should have stayed in Bonaire, Rayford.
No, do not
But
say
things are a
that.
lot. Things are a lot calmer down there. All
Yeah.
things aside, I bet
Yeah.
things are a lot calmer
Yeah,
down there.
no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
But we're glad you're back.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Glad you're
Appreciate
back in
it.
the saddle.
Yeah.
All right, sir. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Mike, thank you. Really good guy.
Yep, he is.
Chairman, he's the head of the Chamber of Commerce here in Swansboro.
He is. Does a
he's
good job there
Doing a
too.
great job
Mhm.
there all around.
Yes, he
All right.
does.
I don't have anything scheduled for tomorrow. Maybe we need to continue this. We'll try to find somebody.
Mhm.
And somebody else I want to get hold of. I don't have a contact number yet. Maybe Lee can help us out. I need to have a chat with Ike.
Yes, I do know he did want to come on
I
the show.
know
I
he
had heard
does.
that.
So
Yes.
I want him
Yeah.
to come on the show.
Yeah.
I want him in here.
Heck yeah.
Got a couple questions for him and
Yep.
just see where his head's at.
Mhm.
And because he's running again, he's a Democrat running against George Cleveland in the upcoming November election
He sure
for
is.
North Carolina House seat.
Mhm.
So anyway, okay, you're live and local. Real Talk Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m. WSME. We'll take a 22-hour break. We'll be back in here tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great rest of your day.